Good morning to everyone once again. The Honorable Deputy Governor, the Honorable Premier, Ruben Timid, the Honorable Financial Secretary, Mr. John Skerritt. We also have the Chief Human Resources Officer, Mrs. Daphne Castle, other specially invited guests, Nagico Insurance's staff, the CEO, Mr. Imran Maksud. Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good morning and welcome to this rather auspicious ceremony. Nagico Insurance's celebrating 30 years of service, reaching out to 16 territories in the region. Let us put our hands together for this special milestone for Nagico Insurances. And now we are going to move swiftly along. We are going to have the national song, and we'll have Mr. Andy Kernan and Ms. Sylvina Malone to do the national song. Could you come, please? Put your hands together as they come.
Smiling faces, familiar places. Oh, how I love to be from this island, beloved island, in the Caribbean Sea. Chances mountain, springs and fountains, hills of verdant green. Oh, Montserrat, beloved Montserrat, of thee I'll always dream. Oh, Montserrat, beloved Montserrat, of thee I'll always dream. Oh, Montserrat, beloved Montserrat, you are my everything. May God protect you and always guide you each and every day. May your children endeavor to always please you in every way.
Hills and valleys, streams and gullies, majestic scenery on my island, my special island, in the Caribbean Sea. Springs of sulfur, great Alps water, seas of azure blue. Oh, Montserrat, beloved Montserrat, I will always love you. Oh, Montserrat, beloved Montserrat, of thee I'll always sing. Oh, Montserrat, beloved Montserrat, you are my everything. May God protect you and always guide you each and every day. May your children endeavor to always please you in every way. Blacks and beaches, such rare species, like Montserrat Oriole, on my island, my special island, so unique in this world. Bellum River, valleys of red, so unique to me. Creator's bounty, beloved Montserrat, displayed for all to see. Oh, Montserrat, beloved Montserrat, of thee I'll always sing. Oh, Montserrat, beloved Montserrat, you are my everything. May God protect you and always guide you each and every day.
Andy Kernan and Sylvia Malone. You know, while I was back there, I was told that another 3 territories were added to the list. So Nagico Insurances, in fact, serves 19 territories in the region. We are now going to call on Father George Aga to ask God's blessings on the proceedings. Father George.
I invite you to stand for God's blessing. I was asking someone how many insurance companies there were in the island, and they said every church. Amen? But this is a different one. So let's bow our heads in prayer. Creator God, loving Father, we praise and thank you for the gift of life and the gift of being assembled here today, Lord, and ask your blessing on Nagico, on their staff, on their clients, and on all the people of this beautiful island of Montserrat. Lord, you have blessed us in the past. You have protected us in times of hurricane, in times of volcanic eruption, in time of earthquakes, in time of natural disasters, in time of family disasters, Lord, and we thank you for your protection. But Lord, as well as that protection, we need protection that are offered to us by Nagico and other insurance companies, Lord, because we all work together for the good of humankind and the good of all of us living in this beautiful island, Lord. So protect and bless this celebration, Lord. Protect and bless each and every one of us. And while we do trust you, Lord, and while we entrust all our cares to you, you also want us to take care of things at this end. Help us, Lord, to be guided by you. Help us, Lord, to be protected by you. And help us, Lord, to be covered by Nagico and other insurance companies. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you very much, Father George. And we are moving along, and we are going to have welcoming and opening remarks by Mrs. Yvette Fenton Ryan, who is an agent of Nagico Insurances here on Montserrat. Mrs. Ryan, could you come, please?
Allow me to establish the protocol. The Honorable Premier, Mr. Ruben T. Meade, Honorable Deputy Governor, Mrs. Sarita Francis, the Honorable Financial Secretary, Mr. John Skerritt, CEO of Nagico Insurances, Mr. Imran Maksood Amjad, Mr. Paul Dykoff, Mrs. Lisa Brown, and Miguel Estibus from Nagico Head Office, Father George Aga, other specially invited guests, and especially our wonderful and loyal clients of Nagico Montserrat. A pleasant good morning to you. It is my distinct honor on behalf of Ryan Investments Limited and Judith Greer and Associates, Nagico's 2 local agents, to welcome you to this, our Nagico's Customer Appreciation Day on Montserrat. Today, we are celebrating Nagico's 14 years of service to Montserrat, and even more importantly, Nagico's 30 years of service in the region, operating now in 19 different territories. We acknowledge that the journey has just begun for some, but we intend to continue in the Nagico tradition of striving for excellence and our mission to be the best insurance company in the region. We trust that you will give us the opportunity to be your insurance provider for many, many more years to come. Nagico is indeed very proud of its first 30 years. 30 years and growing strong, I might add. We are extremely honored and deeply appreciative that so many of you have taken the time from your very busy schedules and have come to share in our celebration, because at Nagico, we are a family and we care. At Nagico, we take great pride in the service we offer. We are there for our clients in good times and in bad times. Like our Calypso icon, the mighty Arrow, who sang, I just can't run away, no. Nagico will not run away. I'm sure many of you remembered what happened towards the end of 1997. Other insurance providers ceased giving coverage to the residents of Montserrat. And what did Nagico do? We started business on Montserrat in 1998 and provided the service that Montserratians were deserving of, and we haven't looked back. At Nagico, we believe that the customer is our most important asset, and we aim to be fair, honest, and timely in all dealings with them. You'll be hearing later from our most caring, energetic, and affable CEO in the person of Mr. Imran Maksud Amjad. And believe it or not, we at Nagico, or at least I, sometimes have to struggle to remember his full name. Because for all of us at Nagico, he is just Mac, in bold and inverted commas though, a very approachable CEO of this dynamic company. We hope that you enjoy what we have in store for you today. It is a day when our policyholders get the chance to meet our CEO and other support staff. It is your time to ask them any questions you might have. So ladies and gentlemen, once again, let me welcome you and thank you for joining us. For your presence here today is most appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Ryan, for your words of welcome and your remarks. We would now like to have some greetings from the Honorable Premier, Ruben T. Meade. Mr. Premier.
Good morning, my brothers and sisters. It just reminded me that the former leader of the opposition, Mr. Honorable Victor James, is in the house. Welcome, my brother. Can I say welcome to one and all? Actually, I should be someplace in Trinidad, but one of the agents of this company said you have to be here. So as soon as the meetings got close to finishing yesterday, I decided, look, let me try and see if Liat can get me at least to Antigua so I can be here this morning. I am here, Mrs. Gray. I'm just called upon to say greetings, so greetings. But I just want to go back just a few years when I transited through cricket as the president of the Montserrat Cricket Association. And that's where I met the Honorable Maksud, because he too has been involved in cricket for a very long time. So we do go way back, even before Nagico. But when we look at insurance and the history of insurance, especially the very recent history of insurance, especially in the OECS, Nagico seems to be one of those companies that is a rock solid as an insurance company. Montserrat has gone through the debacle of CL Financials and all of the issues that are pertaining thereto. As a consequence, the OECS governments have taken a position that insurance companies will be more closely monitored. Now, I know in the case of Nagico, you're almost self-monitoring. And from the years that we've been working with Nagico, and in fact your agents, mainly the female agents, in Mrs. Ryan and Mrs. Gray, not the other part of Ryan, that just dealing with those two persons will give you an indication that if you need insurance services, here are two caring persons who will look after you, not only trying to sell your insurance, but also following up and ensuring that you're getting very, very credible service. So thank you very much, agents of Nagico. Also want to thank Maksud and his team for coming to visit with us. We know that the people of Montserrat, through thick and thin, that you've been with us. We know that you've supported us in cricket as well, and I know that you will continue to support us. But one of the very little known things is that Nagico is also a very good social citizen, in that almost every social function, whether it is school debating competitions, health matters, that Nagico is always there willing to sponsor and do something within the community. So you are in fact a truly community organization. So again, welcome, greetings, and I trust that we will continue with Nagico as a rock-solid company serving the people not only of Montserrat, but the entire OECS and the Caribbean. We're one Caribbean, one insurance company. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you very much, Honorable Premier. And we were supposed to have some remarks from the Honorable Minister Colin Riley, but he's not here. And I'm going to call on the Honorable Financial Secretary just to give a little brief. Honorable Financial Secretary, could you come please and greet everyone?
While I like surprises, I don't like all surprises. Let me just say welcome and thank you to Nagico and Masood in particular. Let me say that the service that you are providing to Montserrat is quite useful, and we have seen the benefits of it. As the supervisor of insurances, I can say that you have operated with integrity, and I hope that this integrity will continue and serve us well into the future. Thank you very much for the service that you have provided, and we look forward to a harmonious working relationship in the future. Thank you.
And you know, I wanted him to come and say that he is the supervisor of insurances. And although Mr. Masood, it was a short lifter, he handled himself well. All right? Just to use a cricketing analogy. All right, we are now going to have the introduction of the Chief Executive Officer by Mrs. Judith Greer, the manager of Greer and Associates. Mrs. Greer?
Good morning, everyone. Protocol has been established. Imran Masood Amjad, ACII, CEO, Nagico Group of Companies. Mr. Masood ventured out into the insurance industry in 1975 in Guyana. He soon started his professional studies and completed the ACII in 1981. Becoming one of the youngest persons in the Caribbean at the time to do so. He quickly moved up the ranks to join the management team of GTM in Guyana, before accepting the offer to become the manager of a newly formed company, Nagico Insurances, in 1982. Mr. Masood had to wear many hats in the early days, bearing the responsibilities for underwriting, sales, and claims. He has been at the helm of Nagico throughout the 30 years of this existence and continues to carry a hectic portfolio. With all of this, Mr. Masood still finds time for community involvement. He is involved in other businesses and numerous social and charitable causes, but nothing ignites his passion like insurance, cricket, and dominoes. Mr. Masood is the founder and chairman of the St. Martin Cricket Association. However, his main focus is Nagico, the largest privately held insurance group in the Caribbean. Mr. Imran Masood.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Greer. Without any further ado, I'll now like to ask Mr. Imran Masood Amjad to come and address you.
Good morning, everyone. And I'll follow Mrs. Greer that protocol has been served. or established, so I wouldn't bother with that. But I want to at least recognize one other person here that has not been mentioned so far. My good friend, Mr. Basil, Basil Morgan. I want to at least recognize Bas, because we go a very, very long way. And in fact, my first trip to Montserrat was about cricket. And Basil reminded me this morning that we would have won both games if he didn't make a bad decision on the last match. And he did remind me that I also, and I was telling John yesterday, that I got in the first match 5 wickets and the second 4. So Montserrat had a little taste of my cricketing skills. Let me say before I go into my speech that every time I come to Montserrat, and I was saying that to Premier Meade just now, I find the people have always been so friendly, so affable, so warm, and humorous, actually. Great sense of humor, Montserratians. As a matter of fact, this is demonstrated because obviously Father George picked up on this, and he's got into the humor as well, that every church is an insurance company. But yes, that is so about Montserrat, and I want to thank the people of Montserrat for always welcoming me and Nagico, of course, and always being so warm and so friendly. What can I tell you? I think Yvette said a lot, and Judith said a lot. I think I want to tell you a little bit about Nagico. There's enough have been said about me. Nagico indeed was started in 1982 as an insurance company in St. Martin. That was started because in 1979 there was a major hurricane coming through the Caribbean. And some of you probably would have experienced that hurricane, David, I think it was. And a lot of the people in St. Martin, a lot of the business people in St. Martin were very frustrated with the services they received from their insurance carriers. The quality of the service was not good. People were considered underinsured. That's always a problem, of course, with growing economies, but advice was not there. Claims were taking months to be even acknowledged, much less settled. So a group of business people came together in St. Martin and said, we want to form an insurance company. Of course, the reinsurance companies in London and the US said, well, we are not going to give you a treaty, reinsurance treaties, if you don't have someone that is qualified and experienced to run the business. I was eventually chosen to be that person. I joined the company from the very inception, helped to create the reinsurance treaties. Almost every single document in Nagico, policy, forms, everything else, was done by myself. I've been there from the very scratch, and I've done everything from the very scratch. Nagico started very small. We were myself and basically 2 other staff. There were a couple of other helpers, but basically 2 other staff. The company started with a very small capital base. Paid-in capital of just 75,000 US. But in those days, it was considered proper money. And you could start insurance companies with that kind of money in those days. Mr. Skerritt will not allow it these days. Right, Mr. Skerritt? Probably not. No, there you go. So it was a very, very tough beginning. We started in an office much smaller than this stage here. And the process of building an insurance company was not an easy one, but it had commenced. We had a lot of energy in the company. I was, like Yvette said, very energetic guy, still a very energetic guy. And because of the energy that I bring, I believe, along with the energy of the staff that I had from the beginning and over the years, many others, we have really developed into a very solid, powerful and very professional organization. To give you an idea, I can tell you where we are today. Today, Nagico certainly ranks among the biggest insurance companies in the region, and correctly, we are the largest privately held insurance group in the Caribbean. We are, as far as general insurance is concerned, at last estimate, the third largest group in the region, and by premium income, the second largest group in the region. We today operate in 19 territories, so we spread the whole archipelago of the northern and southern Caribbean islands with new offices and developments and so on. One that was lacking is Grenada, but I'm very happy to say that we will be opening an office in Grenada on the 28th of this month. As a company, we have today, starting from that $75,000, today, Nagico is a company that writes nearly $100 million worth of business, of premiums. We have assets of over $140 million, and our shareholders' equity is nearing $70 million. As a percentage, Mrs. Skerritt will understand this as well, as a percentage of net premium, that's after you take off reinsurance premium, to equity, we're probably the only general insurance company in the region where our equity is greater than our net premiums. I know in many regulations, the rule of thumb is that you should have about 20% equity to your net premiums. Well, we have more than 100% equity to net premiums. So that gives you an idea the kind of strength of Nagico. Today we have established in several islands. Last year we acquired the GTM insurance company in Trinidad, which was a good personal milestone for me, considering that I started my career at GTM, but in Guyana. We also acquired a British American life insurance company, but only for the Dutch islands. When we looked at the accounts for the OECS islands, we said, no thank you. We also acquired earlier this year the Vinshore Insurance Group in St. Vincent. That is one of the largest insurance companies in St. Vincent. Today it's majority owned by Nagico. This year, just to give you a sense of the kind of financial strength that we have got, we applied for and received license to operate in new territories in the Bahamas and in Grenada. And believe me, for you to get licensed these days to operate, your financials better be good after the Clico-Bico disaster. Also after the Stanford disaster. And there are other companies that are having some issues and some problems. And when the government of Bahamas and Grenada says you can get a license to operate, it means that we have passed their very rigorous test. Let me add, last year we also opened offices in St. Lucia. And maybe Mr. Skerritt knows Mr. Calixte Leon is not an easy man, but a good man, and he knows his financial onions, as we say in the Caribbean. But after a long evaluation and debate about our financials, he had no reservations. So we now operate also in St. Lucia. And to crown it all, from the beginning of last year, we started operations on French territory. In order to operate in French territory, you have to pass solvency tests that are used by European regulators. Because our license is not only to operate on the French side of St. Martin, and in fact we don't. In fact, we have written several businesses in as far as La Réunion, because our license includes all French territory. And in fact,
because of that license, if we want to open offices in the rest of Europe, we can, because it's part of the whole European regulatory environment. For an insurance company to do that, you have to be financially strong. You have to be managed very well. You have to have the expertise that you can show the French government, which is very, very rigorous, that you can provide the protection and you will be there when the clients need you. So to me, Nagico has passed the test in several territories. And today, I'm very happy and a very proud Caribbean boy to say that we today operate in the entire French, Dutch, and English Caribbean. And I think that's that's something pretty great to me. The question always is, how do you do this when other companies are struggling? The answer to that is that we do this by astute management. We have to ensure proper financial stewardship. It's very important. We have to make sure we have the right personnel. People have to be properly trained, properly educated, and we must continue to drive towards expertise and professionalism at the highest level. And we must also, as the Honorable Premier said, be a socially conscious company, so that the people can also understand what we are doing and be prepared to support us. So what have we done? Nagico today is also the only insurance group in the Caribbean with at least 14 chartered insurance underwriters in its team. 14. Some insurance companies don't even have one. Some barely have a couple. We have 14. We also have on board 8 chartered accountants. Some companies barely have one. Much less more than that. We have 8 within the group. We developed our own insurance system, software. Most people buy the system from overseas. We developed right here, right in the Caribbean. And earlier this year, we opened a technology division in the Dominican Republic, because you have to sometimes do like the big companies do, except a lot of the companies go to India, Singapore, and all these other countries. We did it right here in the Caribbean. A technology center that will ensure that our IT development and our software will be second to none and will never fail. What else have we done as a company? As a company, we have ensured that our agents and our brokers receive the best training they can receive. And I'm very pleased when I hear the Honorable Chief Minister said that he is satisfied from all the reports that they've received from the 2 agents here in Montserrat. And I want to hear it for them. Please. I keep telling them, if you're not satisfied with anything, anyone, you contact me, I will fix it. I promise you I'll fix it. What is the future of Nagico, you ask then? Well, we still have a few islands to go. I still need to open an office in my homeland of Guyana. I left Guyana 30 years ago, as you heard. I've only been back about 4 or 5 times, not because I don't want to, because as they say, where your navel string is buried, you will always be connected, right? I'm sure there are Montserratians all over the world, but who still get up some mornings and say, I'm a Montserratian, you know? And the same, I am not bashful about that. I am a Guyanese and a very proud one at that. So I'd like to go back to Guyana more often than I do, but business doesn't necessarily encourage me to do that, or allow me to do that. But I've been back from time to time, but eventually an office will be opened there. And then there is Barbados and Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, and then we're basically done with the English Caribbean Islands. We do write some business in Guyana, and we do write some business right now in the Cayman Islands, but not as a registered company, mostly as a reinsurer. So that's where we are at the moment. how else can we continue to grow? I think we have to continue to grow by continuing to develop faith and trust in the region. I'm a firm believer, and I've said this time and time again, and in fact it has been written because I once read an article of an interview I did over 7 years ago, where I said, and I maintain, that the future of the Caribbean lies in the hands of the Caribbean people. And the future of the Caribbean people is in the Caribbean. And it's about time that we start thinking and acting that way. Our great future is not going to be the United States. Yes, we should encourage them to come and visit us, and let them be here as tourists, and let them contribute economically, financially, investments. I welcome them with open hands. Or the English, they should come. This is still their island, and they should invest, and they should have all the opportunities necessary, but it must not be, none of it must ever be at the expense of the Caribbean people. In this case, Montserrat. In the rest of the region, the Caribbean people. And I'll give you an example how I have demonstrated that in real time, because we have 2 persons here, both of whom are Caribbean people. 3 here, actually, myself, another one. But Nagico now employ over 350 people. Over 350 people. And out of the 350 people, 99% of the staff are of Caribbean origin. 99. And to me, I'm very proud about that, because I believe that I have thereby demonstrated that the Caribbean people can do it. We have the skills, we have the knowledge, we have the dedication, and once we put our minds to it, we can do it. Nagico, it was written only last year in the Dutch island of Curacao, was regarded as the biggest financial success in the entire Dutch Antilles over the last 25 years. It was done 99% by Caribbean-born people. And I'm very, very proud of that. And I want everybody here to understand that I have no problem with anybody from anywhere else, but that is the motto that we live by, and that's what we will continue to live by. When necessarily, we will hire overseas experts, so we do have a few, but and they're all very good people, and this is nothing to say about them. They're wonderful people, but our people are just as good. We just have to give them the opportunities. I want to close by telling you, and the Chief Minister, the Honorable Chief Minister, Premier, here is Premier, right? Yeah. And Anguilla, Chief Minister. The Honorable Premier did mention Nagico is a socially conscious company. That is true. Everywhere we go, we try to do exactly that. We try to give back to the society. I think it's very important that we do that. At the end of the day, we all have to benefit from each other. And to me, the more I give back to society, and if society is better for it, the better Nagico will be. To me, it's a very simple science. And that is why it's important for me to continue to support social causes, whether it is cricket or basketball, whatever it is that we sponsor. Paul, our marketing executive director, he comes to me sometimes and said, Mac, but really we need to spend more than $1 million a year on just donations and sponsorships and so on. And I said, yes, we do. Because it's important that people see what we are about. So ladies and gentlemen, I just want to close by thanking you all the policyholders here of Nagico. Thank you for supporting Nagico. I want to especially thank Judith, Yvette and John Ryan, for their wholehearted support to Nagico 14 years ago. They put their best foot forward. They have been very able representatives of the company. And I take my hats off to them, because Montserrat certainly was not an easy market. I want to say that when we entered the Montserrat market, I didn't hear it mentioned, but I want to mention it because maybe it's the competitive spirit in me still. When we entered the Montserrat market, it was because I was approached by Judith and a guy named Jim Van Heck, and he said, you know, Mac, there is going to be some insurance problems in Montserrat. I said, really? He said, yes. And this was just 3 years after Hurricane Lewis. And during Hurricane Lewis, we were paying millions in claims. To give an example, during Hurricane Lewis, from in the period 1995 to 1999, I know I'm digressing here a little, but from the period 1995 to 1999, Nagico paid over $200 million in claims, insurance claims. So we do pay our claims. I want you to know that. $200 million worth within that 5-year period, 6-year period. And in 1998, Jim came to me, and with Judith, and then later John and Yvette, and says, there are insurance companies in Montserrat that are leaving Montserrat. They want to leave Montserrat because they are worried about the volcano, and even though the volcano has been designated certain danger sites and unsafe zones, and there's a safe zone, insurance companies want to leave. And they're going to leave, and there'll be an opportunity for a company who's willing to do that. But I don't know Nagico's risk appetite, he said. And I explored all the possibilities, met with the people, and I decided that we will do it. Because we have to continue. We cannot allow any territory, unless it is totally, totally uninsurable, we cannot allow any territory in the region to go uninsured without insurance companies. Because we do know, whether we like it or not, I know sometimes people call us the, well, let me don't say it. They say we and the taxman is about the same. But despite that, you cannot run a business anymore, much less build an entire country without insurance these days. Investors come, they want to have insurance possibilities. They want to make sure that they can insure their risks if something goes wrong. A hurricane, maybe an earthquake following the volcano eruptions. All sorts of things can happen other than volcano damage itself. So it's very important that we give the protection where we can to every territory. And we made the decision to do it here in Montserrat. And ladies and gentlemen, Nagico has never regretted one moment doing this. And I thank you very much for that. As a part of our social contribution list, we will show you a little bit of that later on, and I hope that you have the patience. I have the tendency to talk too much, and I'm sure you're saying, now shut up, little fella, and let's get on with the drinks and the eating and so on. So without further ado, I want to again say thanks to all of you, to all the government and the people of Montserrat. Thank you for welcoming us, thank you for having us, and thank you for keeping us. Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you very much, Mr. Imran Maksud Amjad. Sorry for so ably giving us a historical overview of Nagico Insurances and the organization's progress over the past 30 years. And I was just reading behind me, born to serve, built to last, and we are just getting started. So we wish them all the best in the future. We are now going to have a presentation of donations by Mr. Maksud, Mrs. Greer, Mrs. Ryan, and of course, another representative from Nagico Insurances. So, Mrs. Greer.
Mrs. Valerie Lynch, please. Today we're going to make a presentation to the Diabetes Association. We're going to give them a check for $5,000 to continue with the diabetes program in Montserrat.
My first impression is, wow, this is like getting an early Christmas gift. On behalf of the executive and members of the Montserrat Diabetes Association, let me say how grateful we are to receive this generous donation and to especially thank Mrs. Judith Gray and Nagico for considering our association a worthy recipient. I can assure you that this check in the amount of $5,000 will be well utilized. As you are aware, one of our objectives is to disseminate information and create awareness about diabetes. And in order to do so, we would like to acquire the material and equipment that is necessary to further enhance the delivery of our education programs. And so I consider this donation to be quite timely. It would indeed be remiss of me if I did not take this opportunity to congratulate Nagico on its 30th anniversary regionally, and of course for serving Montserrat for 14 years, which is quite an achievement. So, for being such a good corporate citizen, and for the financial contribution that they have made over the years to the various groups, please join me in giving them a big hand. You'll agree with me that what Nagico has been demonstrating to us is indeed a very good example of what it means to give something back, to help with the development of Montserrat and its people. And I was indeed very happy to hear that confirmation from the CEO. In closing, let me say that we at the Montserrat Diabetes Association are indeed greatly appreciative of all your support over the years, because this is not your first donation to us. I wish you many more years of success as we look forward to continued collaboration with your organization. I thank you, and God bless.
Over the past 3 years, Nagico has been donating towards the Spelling Bee competition, which takes place in September, sponsored by the Sunrise Production. This year, we are pleased to inform them that we are going to fully sponsor the Spelling Bee competition. And as such, we are going to hand over a check for $6,030 to Miss Dion Semple. Could you come on stage, please?
I want to say congratulations to Nagico on this milestone in the Caribbean and in Montserrat as well. At a time when economies are tight and in Montserrat you have such a small and constricted private sector, it's hard to get sponsorship, but still you will find businesses who step forward quite bravely every year. And when Nagico gave us the news that they were going to sponsor the entire Spelling Bee, believe me, we were overwhelmed, we were overjoyed, and of course, relieved. Because we could have stopped that and focused on the show itself. So on behalf of Sunrise Productions, I would like to say that we're delighted that Nagico Insurance has committed its full support to seeing the actualization of the 3rd annual Spelling Bee competition. The competition aims to encourage youth in Montserrat to encourage their vocabularies while at the same time allowing them to enjoy the learning process and compete academically. The full sponsorship of the Spelling Bee is a testament of the corporate social responsibility of Nagico Insurance as an organization not only concerned about the learning of the island's youth, but also willing to make the sacrifice necessary to ensure that young people are encouraged and supported in positive endeavors. For this, we owe Nagico Insurance our deepest gratitude, and we look forward to your continued support. To the persons present here today, I would like to invite you all to the Spelling Bee. It will happen on the 23rd of September at the National Cultural Center and starts at 5 p.m. We have a few parents in the audience, and I'm sure that they would like to see everybody come up and support their children. Miss Yelena Allen, a member of Sunrise Productions. Yay.
I'd like to ask Mr. John E. White to come to the stage, please. Mr. Johnny White is the chairperson of the Montserrat Festival Committee. As you know, the Festival Committee will be holding its 50th anniversary of Festival on Montserrat this year. And to this end, Nagico would like to assist in making sure that it's the best year-end festival ever. So today, we will present a check of $5,000 to the Montserrat Festival Committee.
Well, I must say thanks to Nagico for their gift. And Mrs. Lynch, she said most of what I would have said. So thank you very much.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go right into the next section of our program. And that is to honor our long-standing clients, both agencies. So we'll start with Ryan Investments and then we'll move to Judith Gray and Associates. Well, I was asked to choose two clients, and believe me, I had a little difficulty in doing so. But I've come up with two after narrowing it down to two. So the first person I'd like to call on stage is Mr. Winston Tellisford. Mr. Winston Tellisford has been a client of Nagico since its inception in Montserrat. Right now, he is totally covered under the Nagico umbrella in terms of his vehicle rentals and homeowners insurance. And just want to tell Mr. Tellisford, we do appreciate his business. I value you as a customer, and we thank you for staying with Nagico and sticking with Nagico. And the prize Mr. Tellisford has won is one return round trip to St. Martin. And my next client is somebody I failed to acknowledge. He sent me a bibi when I was up here first. That's why I didn't acknowledge him. But he tells me he is now the Chief Minister of Old Town, the Sheriff, Mr. Paul Brewer. Like Mr. Tellisford, Mr. Brewer is totally covered under the National umbrella, and I do appreciate his business, and thank you. Mr. Brewer will receive a 20% extra discount on his next premium on his homeowners policy.
I was just told to be nice. Those of you that know me know that's impossible. So other than thank you very much for 14 very good years with you, that's it. Thank you.
I'll now call on Mrs. Judith Greer to give her presentations. But before I do so, we now like to acknowledge the presence of the Minister of Education, Health and Community Services, and also the presence of the magistrate. Thank you.
I never had a problem choosing my clients. I must call on stage Jermaine Moraine. When we started business in September, he was the third person to take out a motor insurance. And he never had an accident. I never had a problem with him. So he was Today, Mac is going to honor him with a BlackBerry Curve.
Don't text and drive.
No, don't take the Curve.
Secondly, I'm going to call on stage Mr. Roosevelt, Mr. and Mrs. Roosevelt Jemmett, but Mr. Jemmett is going to come instead. He has been on our book since 1998, and he's about the 11th or the 12th householders policy. Today we are presenting his wife with a linen tablecloth over $100 US, and he's going to get a full year's premium on his motor vehicle starting from the 22nd of September. Mr.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Greer and Mrs. Ryan. We are now going to have a symbolic cutting of the 30th anniversary cake. So, Mr. Maxud.
The microphone of Sorry, we're just letting you see the microphone of Nagico Insurance, the 30th anniversary.
I'm going to call on Mrs. Ryan, Yvette Ryan, to move the vote of thanks.
It is my honor again to thank everybody for coming out today. First of all, I have to thank our Master of Ceremonies who did a wonderful job, if I may say so. And I have to add that our Masters of Ceremonies was originally somebody from our head office in St. Martin, had an emergency, and yesterday we called Mr. James White Jr. and he accepted. So give him a big, big round of applause. Then we move on to Anderson, Andy Kernan, and Sylvina Candy Malone, one of our past Calypso Kings and Queens of Montserrat who did the national song, Archipelago, that's the word, and did a good job. Father George Aga for blessing us. Father George, God? Oh, right. Thank you, Father George, for blessing us. And then we go to the Honorable Reuben T. Meade for giving us some remarks and welcoming especially Mac and all the overseas people to this function. We want to thank him very much and thank him especially because he went out of his way, cut his meeting short, make sure he left on time so that he could get back to Montserrat this morning to be here with us today. So please give our Honorable Premier a hearty round of applause. We want to thank our CEO for gracing us with his presence. We are truly honored, thankful, very appreciative that you've taken the time out of your busy schedule because I know you have a really busy schedule this year. And so far for the year, Mac has had, as I'm told, 4 days vacation. He's had a rough time this year. So we want to thank Mac for being here with us. Then we want to thank especially all our invited guests for celebrating with us our 30 years of service to the region, 14 years in Montserrat. We thank you that you came out today and weathered it under the hot tent and in the hot sun to be with us. Thank you for coming. Then we move on to our special, and not, well, all of our clients are very special, and we want to thank you today for coming out. Then we have to thank the Lime, which I'm a part, but we have to thank the Lime for hosting this event for us. We want to thank Mrs. Verna Brand for assisting us greatly in the decoration of the whole area. We want to thank the people who are going to provide some snacks and food for us later when this section is finished. And if there's anybody I missed. Pardon? Oh, wow. The cake. For the cake maker, the cake decorator, Roland Irish. Wow! Thank you, Roland, very much for a job. Well done. And then I must say, if I have forgotten anybody, I'm truly sorry. It's not them. And who? Mr. Skerritt for coming, you know, at last notice. But I don't understand why Mr. Skerritt was so surprised, because Mr. Skerritt, if the premier was not back, Mr. Skerritt is the one who should have welcomed. So Mr. Skerritt should have been prepared. He's just pretending. Anyhow, thank you, Mr. Skerritt, for coming up and addressing us. I don't think I have forgotten anybody, so thank you, one and all. And we do have some goodies to give away. We're going to have some prizes to give away to people, question and answers, and then there's going to be some snacks, and then lunch will be served. So feel free to enjoy the rest of the day on Nagico. Thank you very much.
Don't take me, you're trying to cover this here. Any more?